जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरावनचारी। यमुना यमुना तीरावनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Radha Shama Sundara Radha Shama Sundara Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajkacharya Stottashat His Divine Grace Abhayachanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON Founder Acharya Vibhuti Founder Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajkacharya Stottashat His Divine Grace Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnav Bhakta Vrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की श्री नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की गंगा माई यमुना माई की भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की कलयुग पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम महापुराण की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jaya mudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 84, The Sages' Teachings at Kurukhetra, verses 31, 32, and 33. So we'll chant the verse 31 together, and 32, 33 I later chant. Then we'll read the translation and purport. There is no purport to verse 31. Sannikarṣotramartyanām Sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye tatratyo yāti śuddhaye sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye. Please chant. Sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye. 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 Sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam hitvā yathānyāmbhas yāti śuddhaye. Sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye. Sannikarṣotramartyanām anādaraṇa-kāraṇam gāṅgam hitvā yathānyāmbhas tatratyo yāti śuddhaye. Word-to-word meaning, translation, and also purport by the disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sannikarṣaḥ proximity. Atra, here, in this world. Martyānām, for mortals. Anādaraṇa, of disregard. Kāraṇam, a cause. Gāṅgam, the water of the Ganges. Hitvā, leaving. Yathā, as. Anya, other. Ambhaḥ, to water. Tatratyaḥ, one who lives near it. Yāti, goes. Śuddhaye, for purification. Translation. In this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganges might travel to some other body of water to be purified. Text 32 and 33. Yasyānubhūti kālena layot. We chant? I'll chant myself. Layotpatya dinasya vai satonyasma cha gunato na kutascha narishyati tang klesha karma paripaka guna pravabher asya tanubhavam ishwaram advitiyam pranadibhi swavipaver upagudamanyo manyeta suryam iva mega himo paragahi. Translation. The Supreme Lord's awareness is never disturbed by time, by the creation and destruction of the universe, by changes in its own qualities, or by anything else, whether self-caused or external. But although the consciousness of the personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme, one without a second, is never affected by material distress, by the reactions of material work, or by the constant flow of nature's modes, ordinary persons nonetheless think that the Lord is covered by His own creations of prana and other material elements, just as one may think that the sun is covered by clouds, snow, or an eclipse. Purport. Things of this world are inevitably destroyed by one means or another. Time itself causes the eventual decay of every created being. A fruit, for instance, which may grow ripe, but then must either rot or be eaten. Some things like lightning destroy themselves as soon as they are manifested, while others are destroyed suddenly by external agents as a clay pot is by a hammer. Even in living bodies and other things whose existence continues for some time, there is a constant flux of various qualities that are destroyed and replaced by others. In contrast to all of this, the Supreme Personality of God's awareness is never disrupted by anything. Only out of ignorance could one imagine Him to be an ordinary human being subject to material conditions. Mortal beings are covered by their entanglement in fruitive activities and their consequent happiness and distress, but the Supreme Lord cannot be covered by what are in fact His own expansions. Analogously, the immense sun is the source of the relatively insignificant phenomena of clouds, snow, and eclipses, and so it cannot be covered by them, though the ordinary observer may think that it is. Om Ajnana-timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuddhapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shanyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarobhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Vrindavan. At the beginning, I would like to seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, our previous acharyas, my spiritual masters, and all assembled devotees, especially Srila Prabhupada disciples, and other senior Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, and all of you. The topic that we are going to discuss today, as explained in this verse, has got some connection to following the manners of etiquette. So it's not a good etiquette to sit in front of your superiors and speak, especially on such a transcendental subject matter. But because we have been given this seva, so I wish to seek all of your blessings that this seva can be done in the right mood for the appreciation, glorification of the Supreme Lord, for the bliss of the Vaishnavas, to bring them pleasure, and for personal purification. So, as we have been hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, in 10th canto, Krishna's pastimes are described in two categories. One is the pastime that Krishna does in Sri Vrindavan Dham, Vraja. And those pastimes, they bring about Krishna's sweetness very distinctly. Then there are pastimes that Krishna does in Dwarka or in Mathura or in other places, which bring out Krishna's sweetness mixed with Krishna's greatness. So as we all know, Madhurya, it is more predominant in Vrindavan, and Aishwarya sometimes takes predominance in Dwarka. So these pastimes that we are discussing bring about that flavor time and again. Since chapter 82, 83, 84 and 85, these four chapters talk about the visit of the Yadus and the other great kings to Kurukhetra on the occasion of a solar eclipse. So we have been hearing that story, that pastime, since few weeks, couple of weeks. It's nice to retrospect, go a little backward in the pastime, in the story, to understand the whole thing better. Therefore, let's start from the beginning. I'll make it quick. So it so happened that Lord Krishna was in Dwarka, and there were other kings in their different places, and they came to know there is going to be a solar eclipse. So they all decided to come to Kurukhetra because it's a holy place, and it's a custom, it's a tradition that when such things happen, you visit a holy place, you take a holy bath there, you perform some austerity, you give charity to the brahmanas, you satisfy the brahmanas. If possible, you do some sadhu sangha, you get purified, and then you go back to where you were. So from all over Bharatvarsha, many great kings, they came to Kurukhetra, including the Yadus, the Kurus, and also came the cowherd community of Vraja. So in chapter 82, it is described that when they reached there, they performed all the rituals, and after the rituals were all done, they started meeting each other because they were seeing each other after a long time. So there is description of how Vasudeva met Nanda Maharaj, how the other kings, they met the Yadus, how Krishna met the cowherd girls, how the queens of Krishna met Draupadi, Subhadra and others. So all that description was given in chapter 82 and 83. So while this was going on, the women were talking amongst the women and the men were talking amongst the men. It is described in chapter 84 that they all saw great sages coming to where they were. That's how this chapter begins. And the great sages included personalities like Narada, Vyasa, Devala, Asita, Gautama, Atri, Markandeya, Vasishtha, Vishwamitra, and so on. The list is big. But we should know that they were not the only sages who came there. The entire list cannot be given. All the names cannot be provided. So the point here that I want to bring to the notice of all assembled is that the great sages came, but not all the sages who came were pure devotees of Krishna. They did not have prema bhakti. They did not have pure love for Krishna. Just like we hear when Parikshit Maharaj was listening to Srimad Bhagavatam from Śuddhaye Goswami, many great personalities were in that assembly, but not all were pure devotees of Krishna. Similarly, when Suta Goswami was speaking to the sages of Naimisharanya, there were so many great personalities in the assembly, so many sages, munis, but not all were pure devotees of Krishna. So similarly here, it's a ceremony, it's a tradition. A solar eclipse is going on and they have come for purification. So all kinds of sages have come. Some of these sages may be impersonalists. Some of these sages may be Paramatmavadis. Some of these sages may accept some other form of the Supreme Lord as the Supreme. Some of these sages may have mixed devotion towards Krishna. Not all were pure devotees of Krishna. So that's the scene. They all came there. Now when they came here to that place where all the kings were sitting, the king stood up, including Krishna, Balram, the Pandava brothers, and many others. And they welcomed the sages. They greeted them. They respected them. They offered them asana. They gave them water to drink. They also bathed their lotus feet. And after ornamenting them with garlands, sandalwood pulp, they bowed down to them. They respected them. So once all this was done, Krishna stood up. And Krishna started talking like an ordinary person, like an ordinary king. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, to Arjuna, while teaching the concept of Nishkam Karma Yoga, that whenever I appear and I take different forms, like some particular varna, some particular ashrama, then I very nicely do the duties of those varnas and ashramas, just like an ordinary person does. But I do that in the spirit of Nishkam Bhav, with detachment. That's what Krishna tells Arjuna in chapter 3, because he wants Arjuna to do the same. So here Krishna is teaching everyone in general that when great personalities, great sages have come, how you should be treating them. So after treating them properly, Krishna starts to talk to them. So he glorifies the sages. Very nicely that is given in this chapter. He starts glorifying the sages. So I'll read some of the things which I noted down. Of course you have heard it, but we are setting up the whole mood that what will come forward. So Krishna addressed them and Krishna said, now, means though they did everything, they took the ritualistic bath, they gave charity to the Brahmanas, they fed the Brahmanas, they did everything. For the purpose they came to Kurukhetra. But he's saying, now, since we got your darshan, since we saw you all, our life is successful. The purpose we came to Kurukhetra, that is achieved. The supreme goal is achieved. Why? Because we got a chance to see all of you. And it says, your association is so rare that even the demigods, they don't get your association. But here we, common people, are getting your association. So it is explained by Yudhishthira Maharaj. He said, Tirthi kurvanti tirthani. That the holy personalities, they make the holy places holy. And that's what Krishna also tells them, that because of your presence, this whole place has become so purified. And this is our success. This is our perfection. Then he says, even a moment's association with personalities like you can bring supreme perfection to life. Krishna even goes to the extent of telling that worshipping the demigods is not that beneficial than to associate with all of you. If someone can just listen from you speak about the absolute truth, someone can just behold your lotus feet, someone just can do some little seva to you, that is much more beneficial than worshipping the demigods. So when Krishna spoke so highly about the sages, some of them felt embarrassed. And who is talking like this? Who is talking like this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead is talking like this. It's just like, there is a small ant, a tiny ant, and then a big personality like a Garuda comes and starts glorifying the ant. The Garuda says, "Oh ant, you are so big." And the ant is looking at Garuda, "I am big." I am big or you are big? Who is big? So in this way, the sages felt embarrassed. And they became mum. They did not know what to say. How do we react in this situation? So in that situation, some of the sages who knew that what Krishna is doing, they knew that Krishna is just acting like an ordinary person. It's his drama. He's just acting like an ordinary person. So they understood and they concluded, don't get bewildered. It is only Krishna's plan to just be a common man and show how a common man functions, So don't get bewildered. So they came back to their senses. And then they concluded that this all you are doing just to teach everyone, the people in general, And now the sages in return, they start glorifying Krishna. So that's the chapter, the sages' teachings at Kurukhetra. So the sages now start glorifying Krishna. So while the sages are glorifying Krishna, it is said there by the sages that Krishna, your Maya is very strong. And your Maya covers two kinds of personalities. It covers the devotees, how? In the form of Yoga Maya. And because of that, the devotees who serve you intimately, they do not really know who you are. They don't know that you are God. And therefore they serve you as a friend, as a master, as a son, as a lover. So the Yoga Maya covers one class of personalities, the devotees. And then the same personality in the form of Mahamaya covers the non-devotees. So the sages are talking to Krishna about how Krishna's Maya works. How Krishna's Maya works. Krishna's Maya covers the devotees as well as Krishna's Maya covers the non-devotees. Yoga Maya covers the devotees and Mahamaya covers the non-devotees. So in this way they glorify Krishna, they talk about Krishna, Krishna's activities, and then they say that you, like an ordinary person, accept a teacher, you as like an ordinary person accept a father, you sometimes inquire from personalities like us, but who you are Jagat Guru, you are spiritual master of everyone. So now we understood what you are doing actually. We have understood, you are just acting like that. So after having spoken like that, then the sages said, you are saying that your visit to Kurukhetra has become successful, but we want to say that our education, our austerity, our meditation, our study of the scriptures, everything has become successful by seeing you. So it's our life that has become successful. by coming in association with you. So then the sages, they pray to Krishna. They say, "Oh my dear Lord, please make us your devotees. We want to become your devotees." That's what the sages pray. And once they have prayed, then it is said that they start to leave. They decide, now we want to go. We saw Krishna and now we want to go. So when the sages, they decide to go, it comes in the verse 28, I think. Yes, verse 28, that when the sages were about to leave, Vasudeva, Krishna's father, gets up and he approaches the sages. He bows down to them, he touches their feet, and then he speaks some words to them. Why does Vasudeva do such a thing? As a matter of etiquette, he knows you can't go to a holy place just to take a bath. You have to inquire from sadhus. That's the best benefit of going to a holy place. Do sadhu sangha. So Vasudeva, acting like an ordinary householder, just like Krishna acted like an ordinary king, now his father is acting like an ordinary householder. So he approached the sages. And he approached the sages and he asked them a question. The most basic question that someone can ask. And what was that question? That we are always engaged in karma. Please tell us how we can do some other karma which can bring us out of the cycle of birth and death. So the basic concept of action, reaction, nullifying the reaction, Acharyas, they say, is talking about the subject matter of karma yoga. That's what Vasudeva inquires. The topic of karma yoga is a very petty topic. Who is Vasudeva? Vasudeva is the father of Krishna. Does he not know about karma? Does he not know about karma yoga? Does he not know how the karmas they get liquidated? Does he not know? He knows all of that. So when Vasudeva comes and makes an inquiry like this, the sages again get bewildered. First Krishna bewildered them, and somehow they came back to their senses. Now Krishna's father is bewildering them. They're again bewildered. And why are they bewildered? They are thinking, he's the father of God. How can he ask such a question? Does he not know? So Sri Jiva Goswami in Krama Sandarbha, he writes that there are two doubts that come in the mind of the sages. We have to know those doubts, then only we can understand the answer which is given in verse 31, 32 and 33. So the two doubts that came in the mind of the sages was, first, Vasudeva is the father of Krishna. He is at a position which we desire and still we cannot get that position. He is at that position. And his question is so small. He should ask something about Krishna. He should ask something about some confidential subject matter, some high subject matter. Why is he asking about karma? So they got bewildered. And second thing, they thought, even if he has a question, why ask us? Why not ask Krishna? If Krishna is Bhagavan, ask Krishna, why ask us? Just like in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna surrenders to Krishna. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichhami dharma samudha cheta yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadi mam tam prapannam. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Krishna is telling to Arjuna, why you come to me? Go to Vyasadeva, go to Dhaumya Rishi, go to some other sage. Arjuna says, only you can dispel my ignorance. Only you. Therefore I surrender just to you. That's what Arjuna did. He surrendered to Krishna, though there was an option of being, approaching so many other personalities. So why here Vasudeva is leaving Krishna and going to other sages? Why is he asking them? Why not Krishna? Krishna knows dharma. He establishes dharma. He has created dharma. He does everything. So why are they going to the sages? So the sages get bewildered again. Right? Now here the acharyas, they explain. It looks like a simple thing. But it's not that simple. Why? Because here people are having different doubts. One doubt is, Narad Muni is thinking, by acting like this, Vasudeva has created a kind of position for himself in the minds of the assembled sages. Some of them, they doubt about Vasudeva's position, his greatness. So I have a task to clear that doubt. Who is Vasudeva? They should know. Second, Vasudeva has put us in a problem. What is the problem? Instead of asking Krishna, he has asked us. We are small to Krishna. How can we speak in front of Krishna? That means we are in a situation where we have to cross the boundary of maryāda. Right? It's called martyānām. Uddhava was approached by Mahatma Vidur. Please teach me about the absolute truth. And Uddhava said, no, I can't. There is some other personality, you go to him. So where did Uddhava send Vidura? To Maitreya. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Uddhava did this because Maitreya was more senior. So you go to the senior person and you ask. That's the etiquette, right? So the sages are thinking, how can we answer in front of Krishna? Will you not cross the boundary of etiquette? So Maryada Vyatikaran will happen. So they were bewildered, they were silent, they did not know how to speak, what to speak. And the third thing is, again, some of the sages there, they got a doubt that Krishna is acting like an ordinary person, his father is like an ordinary person, but some of them, they say Krishna is Bhagavan. How is Krishna Bhagavan? So Narad Muni has got another task. He has to again, by saying something, establish Krishna's supremacy. So he has to remove the doubt about Vasudeva's position, why Vasudeva is acting like that. He has to also not cross over the boundary of etiquette, and also he has to establish Krishna's supremacy. And that's what Narada Muni does in verse 31, 32 and 33. That's what he does, right? So we'll look at now verse number 31. So what Narada did, when he saw that the sages were getting bewildered, Narada had two choices. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. First thing, he could have told the sages, you see, Vasudeva loves Krishna dearly. It is his prema that is hiding his knowledge about Krishna's supremacy. We know that. When love becomes too condensed, then Krishna is God, that knowledge goes in the background, right? But Narada Muni did not speak that in the audience. Because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that the audience was not ready to hear about such a high siddhanta, about prema bhakti. The audience was not qualified. So Narada Muni addressed the audience in a very simple manner. Narada said, why are you amazed? What makes you amazed? Will a common man not behave like that? And then he says, just like if you live very close to Ganga and you have taken bath in Ganga for many times and then you think it's not working, I'm not getting purified. So then someone comes and tells you there is a holy bath in Godavari. Okay, let's go to Godavari. Why? Because Ganga is too close. So then he says, when you live very close to someone or something which is very great or special, familiarity breeds contempt. Right? That was verse number 31. Sannikarṣaḥ atra martyānām. Amongst the mortals, there is this problem that sannikarṣaḥ, when you come very close to something or someone, anādaraṇa. Anādaraṇa means disrespect. Kāraṇam. So too much of proximity is a reason for disrespect. And this happens amongst human beings. Example, can you give an example? The example he gave, you live very close to Ganga, everything will purify you but not Ganga. So you'll go to all the holy places but Ganga. No, I live close to Ganga. So then he's saying, because Vasudeva is living very close to Krishna for so many years, he has forgotten Krishna is God. That's what has happened. He has gone into illusion, Brahma. Because he's too close to Krishna, now he's thinking Krishna is my child, an ordinary person, like a boy. How can Krishna answer my questions? So kind of Narada, he dealt with that situation in a very simple manner. That it happens. He's his father. He is seeing him since a long time. He thinks he's just my boy. Therefore, he did not ask Krishna. He asked us. Right? But then we know by Acharya's explanations that how can Vasudeva, who is an eternally liberated person, be ever in ignorance? Vasudeva is well aware of Krishna's powers. So it's his love which is hiding his knowledge that Krishna is Bhagavan or Krishna is superior. So therefore he is approaching the sages. Now when there is familiarity, we become disrespectful. I was just reading at different places. So I found that the consequence of familiarity is carelessness, which is also a kind of disrespect, isn't it? Lack of admiration and appreciation because of familiarity. You start lacking appreciation for it, admiration for it, right? And then because of familiarity, you start devaluing it, and maybe sometimes you may get disconnected from it. So that's what familiarity does, isn't it? That's what familiarity does. We'll talk about familiarity a little bit more later, but now we'll just go with the flow, the next verse. So this familiarity has happened. How can you remove familiarity? If I am becoming too familiar with something or someone, that means I have forgotten what is the true position of that person or that thing. That means the first thing is to counterattack familiarity or over familiarity is proper knowledge. Who is who? Who is who and what is what? That knowledge has to come, isn't it? So when there is too much of familiarity, which is due to many reasons, first thing is knowledge. Therefore, in verse 32 and 33, Narad Muni is speaking how Krishna is not an ordinary person. He is giving that knowledge, So how is he contrasting between ordinary person and Krishna? He told the sages, don't think that only Vasudeva is bewildered. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, Narad Muni's statements were, it's not just Vasudeva, it's almost all of us who do not know Krishna. So don't think that Vasudeva doesn't know. No, most of us also do not know Krishna. Krishna is supremely conscious, and his consciousness does not get destroyed or affected by time, just like the consciousness of an ordinary human being gets destroyed by time. And for that reason, in this verse, he gave 4 ways by which someone's knowledge or consciousness gets destroyed in the verse number 32. First is by the effect of time. Time destroys knowledge. Time destroys consciousness. Something gets created, something gets destroyed. So by the effect of time it happens. So he says it will work for ordinary persons, but time cannot function on Krishna. So Krishna's consciousness doesn't get destroyed. Krishna said that in chapter 4 to Arjuna, that both of us has taken many births, but I remember all of them, and you don't. Isn't it? And then after that, the next reason which is given for destruction of consciousness or knowledge is by itself. By itself. So the example is given of a lightning. How it works, I don't know the science of lightning, but Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the example is given here, that just like a lightning comes, it illuminates for a blink of an eye, and then it gets destroyed. By itself. And then the third thing is, something may get destroyed by an external object. The example is given, a pot. A pot is in the form of a pot, and then you hit a hammer to it, the pot is destroyed. And the fourth thing is, some external agent may not destroy it, but an internal process may destroy it. The example is given of the body. The body gets destroyed internally, because of the change of 3 modes of material nature. So the sage Narada is saying, all these 4 don't happen with Krishna. Krishna doesn't change with time. Something external cannot affect Krishna. There is no internal vikar in Krishna, and Krishna cannot get destroyed by itself or himself. And then we are speaking about this technically because sometimes this verse maybe a little difficult to understand. So just the next verse is there where Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Narad Muni is further explaining the same concept. So he's saying Krishna's mind doesn't get changed by experience of happiness or distress, like our mind gets changed. Krishna's knowledge doesn't get affected by happiness or distress. Krishna doesn't get affected by suffering. Krishna doesn't get affected by the three modes. And though Krishna appears to be covered, Krishna is never covered. And then an example is given, like sometimes the cloud covers the sun, but those who are in knowledge, they know that the cloud cannot cover the sun. Sometimes it appears that the snowfall has covered the sun, but the snowfall cannot cover the sun. And someone may think an eclipse may cover the sun, but an eclipse can never cover the sun. And all these three are produced by the sun, but they cannot cover the sun. Similarly, it is Krishna's Maya produced by Krishna which covers our vision of Krishna, and therefore we cannot understand who Krishna is. So in this way, he concludes. Right? So now we come back to the topic of familiarity breeds contempt. A very important topic. I was just searching in the Veda base where all Srila Prabhupada spoke about it. Srila Prabhupada spoke about it in his letters. Srila Prabhupada spoke about in Srimad Bhagavatam. He spoke about it in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he also spoke about it in a correspondence he had with one of his disciples. And in that, Srila Prabhupada is talking about a very prominent disciple of his, a very senior member, he was of our movement, who very closely served Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada is taking the name actually and pointing out to him and giving the example of familiarity breeds contempt. So Srila Prabhupada said, I tried to give him more and more opportunities to do direct service to me, but he became a prey to familiarity breeds contempt. And because of that, very soon he started thinking that his spiritual master is a common man. And his fall began. And then Srila Prabhupada is saying, therefore, he's instructing his disciple, therefore, we should be very careful to not become irresponsible in our behavior, in our nature. And do whatever services you get with a sense of duty. With a sense of duty. So I was thinking about it and I was trying to connect it to the topic of familiarity breeds contempt. In Bhagavad Gita, there are 3 Ds that Krishna talks about again and again. Very important. The 3 Ds. What are those 3 Ds? First is duty, second is detachment, and the third is devotion. And if you study Gita properly, Krishna is taking us from the first D to the third D. First of all, he's again and again telling Arjuna, do your duty. Do your duty. Whatever is given to you, whatever it may be, any seva it may be, a small seva, big seva, it's your duty. It's not a privilege. It's not something to be enjoyed in that sense. Privilege in the sense that makes you special compared to someone else. No, it's a duty. That's what comes in Gita again and again. Whether I am serving as a sweeper in the temple, I am serving as a pujari in the temple, I am serving as a kirtaniya in the temple, I am serving as a preacher in the temple, I am serving as the manager in the temple, whatever services may be. In the institute of ISKCON also, one may be serving as a brahmachari, as a grihastha, as a very small position holding devotee, or as a GBC, maybe an initiating guru, whatever it may be. It's a duty. It's a duty. That has come to you because of your karma, that has come to you because of the blessings or the grace of the superiors, but it has given to you not to enjoy that position, but to serve in that position. So it's a duty. Right? So that's the first thing that's in Bhagavad Gita. But now when we engage in our duty, what happens is you get some fruits from that dutiful engagement. And there is a tendency, let me enjoy that. Let me enjoy that. So Krishna speaks about the next D, which is detachment. You can't enjoy. You can't enjoy that. Detach. Be detached from it. That result is not yours. And the third thing which Krishna brings the reader of Bhagavad Gita or his student Arjuna to is devotion. You offer it back to Krishna with love and devotion. So if you talk about the subject of familiarity also, what happens initially? When we become too familiar to someone, the first thing that we forget is our duty towards that person. A disciple becomes too familiar to the spiritual master, he forgets I am a disciple. You become too familiar with the deities, you forget that you are a pujari. You become too familiar with the Vaishnavas, you forget that you are a Vaishnava Das. You forget your duty, who you are and what you are supposed to do. So the first problem with familiarity is, it makes me forget what I am supposed to do because of the illusion created. Who am I? No. Right? And when we forget that, what happens is, my spiritual master is there, because I am becoming too familiar, I am thinking now my spiritual master is also ordinary, I am also ordinary. My spiritual master is getting some facilities or using those facilities, I should also get those facilities. So then that brings the spirit of enjoyment, material enjoyment. I should enjoy. Familiarity, the next thing is you want to enjoy. I am in Vrindavan Dham. Let me enjoy Vrindavan because I am Rajavasi. I am a temple resident. So let me enjoy the temple facilities because I am a temple resident. Too much of familiarity. I am Pujari. So let me enjoy Mahaprasadam because I am Pujari. I am a preacher, and because of preaching I get fame. I get name, I get appreciation. So let me enjoy that name, fame, appreciation because I am a preacher. I am delivering the whole world. No. So the next thing is you want to enjoy. There is attachment to enjoyment. Therefore one has to become detached. But then you have knowledge. Just that knowledge can make you detached and dutiful? No. I may know Krishna is God, but I may become too familiar with Krishna sometimes. I may know that this Dham Vrindavan is very special, but I may get too familiar with Vrindavan. I know that the devotees are so exalted, but I may get too familiar with the devotees, with the holy name, with Mahaprasadam, with everything. So for that, there is third thing which is needed, that is devotion. And what is devotion? Humble attitude. I am nothing. I am just a servant. So when that humility is there, familiarity will not creep in. Because I know who I am. I am a disciple. I am insignificant. He or she is my spiritual master. I am an ordinary person. I am not a Vrajvasi. Vrajvasis are so exalted. How can I be a pujari? I am not a pujari. How can I be a preacher? I am not a preacher. I am not really those things. I am not a devotee. Right? So when that humility comes in, familiarity cannot come in. But when that humility is not there, false pride is there, familiarity comes in. So three things. If you be dutiful, if you be detached, and if you be devotional, which means humility, gratitude, then this familiarity will not come. As a sadhaka, we have to be careful of this familiarity. But then Vasudeva, Nand Maharaj, Mother Yashoda, they don't have any problem with familiarity. Because that is pure love. That's not a problem for them. But for us, it may become a problem. Right? So that's why here Narad Muni is very beautifully addressing the whole situation that has arisen. We have just tried to cover a bit of it. There's so much more. But I'll conclude here as it's time, 9 o'clock. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any comments, corrections?
I want to ask a humble question. Srila Prabhupada came with his team of devotees in 1970. In Mumbai, they had a very beautiful program, and many aristocratic persons were there. And some became members, and many of them became life members. because although they were strongly following the Hindu teachings and the Hindu propagation throughout India, they very much appreciated that Srila Prabhupada was the first Indian to go to the West and significantly affect the lives with the teachings of the Vedic culture. So they were very much impressed, or I say, these are all very distinguished, wealthy people, and the Prabhupada just so naturally, I say, peaceful and not at all thinking that, oh, now, I've accomplished a big, big thing. Prabhupada is always so just very grave and very aristocratically appreciating the fact that Krishna empowered him to do something so wonderful. And other very powerful personalities glorified him and could appreciate that, yes, we want to help in this mission of spreading the Sanatana Dharma. It's very rare. Just more of a comment.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, familiarity, very important topic. What I saw being with Srila Prabhupada is one of the first things, you become inattentive. When you become familiar, you forget your service. And then it's just a very short trip to be doing something less. As I said, Prabhupada went on a morning walk, and one devotee, when he came back, everyone offered obeisances. Some person, he stood there with his hands folded. As Prabhupada walked away, he turned to me and said, that's the beginning of his fall down. So that's familiarity, and how quickly and how easily one starts the process of falling down. And the other point about the gāṅgam was also very good for us. It's Krishna Balaram Mandir. We're the most fortunate people to be here in Krishna Balaram Mandir. People are paying thousands of dollars to fly here, 10,000 miles to come here. And those of us that live here, we have to be able to keep that same respect, awe, and reverence of this place, and not think, well, I need to go here, this tirtha, this tirtha. This is the most wonderful tirtha.
Right. Thank you, Prabhuji.
I am not very well versed with philosophy, but I have a question in mind. We have been given to understand that Jiva falls to Vaikuntha because of the envy with the Lord. Is that true? That's my understanding.
First of all, is that question related to the class we had today?
This envy with the Lord, point from there.
Okay, so Prabhu's question is that it said that the jiva falls from Vaikuntha because of envy with the Lord. So is that correct?
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, that's the question is. So there are two parts to this question, right? One part is very controversial, but the other part is very clear, which Srila Prabhupada spoke very emphatically, that we are in this material world because of envy with Krishna. Right? So that's very clear. Now when the topic of jivas fall down from Vaikuntha, that's a controversial thing which different people have different opinion about, isn't it? But then Srila Prabhupada gave us a very clear answer. Wherever you have fallen from, you are fallen. Yeah, so, and the reason for that is envy, no doubt about it. Mataji.
Hi Krishna, thank you for the class. So you did emphasize on humility. I was just wondering, how can we guard against false humility? Because as devotees often feign to be humble, but so how can we guard against that?
Okay, so the question of Mataji is, how can we guard against false humility? We have to be humble. So we should know that there are two things connected to any quality. One is the behavioral expression of that quality, and the other is the possession of that quality in your consciousness and your character. So when you say false humility, that means it is humility just in the expression, which is external, which can be copied. It's very easy to copy to do this. Easy to copy to bow down. It's very easy to copy to behave as if you are an inferior in front of someone who's superior. But the other is that that's in your consciousness. That's your nature. So true humility will come naturally as we become more purified by the practice of Krishna consciousness. Just like the body has its qualities, the soul has its qualities. And of those many qualities which naturally belong to the soul is humility. But because the soul is covered by the subtle body and the gross body, which means the three modes, how can that natural quality completely shine forth? It cannot, isn't it? So the point is, as we become more and more purified, we become more and more pure devotees of Krishna, we will be able to practice as well as demonstrate true humility. Otherwise, it's not true humility. It cannot be. It's only an external expression of it. But then, Srila Prabhupada encouraged us to at least do that external thing so that we can also someday internalize it. Right? So we have to be, as you said, how to protect ourselves from that. We just have to be honest. Honest about our position. That's all. Right? And we don't have to fake humility unnecessarily just because we want someone's favor. And that favor generally comes in a material sense. Right? So that honesty can be there and it can protect us. Okay, so we stop here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Pramanande.